We do have a major incident that just took place over Washington, D.C. A Black Hawk helicopter colliding with an American Airlines passenger plane with 64 people on board. This entire incident is being picked apart online. There are a lot of questions surrounding this event. So before we get into the primary reason for the talk, this is breaking news. What are your thoughts on this incident?
I think it was deliberate. Just with a bunch of other stuff, it just seems that it's over and over and over deliberate. Look, the airspace is not like a driving space, which is 2D. Airspace is 3D. The chances that two things collide in midair is actually very, very low. When I watched the video, it just looked like the helicopter was deliberately heading towards the airplane. Looks like it was some sort of an assassination attempt. And so I would expect that the flight list on who was on that airplane is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, do you think they're going to delay the release of that? Do you think they're going to hold on to that for as long as they can? Because there's already public outroar to get that list out.
Usually with these things, they release fake information that contradicts itself over and over and over again. Drip, 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 drip. And then maybe, a couple of years from now, they'll give us a disclosure. But I think that what's going to happen is that they're going to flood the information scape. That's certainly what I would do if I was a propagandist working for the state. I would just put out a whole bunch of false conspiracy theories. So if you see a bunch of false conspiracy theories that, verge on ridiculousness, then that's your tell that this was a planned operation and that this information is being deliberately pushed out through social media.
Yeah, one thing I noticed was the Wikipedia page for this thing popped up very quickly and was fully detailed with a laundry list of references. And when you check when the actual wiki was updated, it was something like a few hours, like just a few hours after the incident happened. And it's a fully detailed history of the mid-air 2025 collision in Washington, D.C. And I just found that there was a little bit too much information coming out a little too fast. There are some people who are picking up on the fact that apparently CNN reported on it 7 hours or about 6-7 hours previous to when it was actually happening. But then there's a lot of people saying that was a case of SEO editing an old article to bring the algorithm up. Is that something that's done, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of normies out there that seem to be transiently interested in the conspiracies at the very beginning. And so I feel, the pattern that I've noticed is that when there's an operation in play, intelligence assets get right to work with a code red to start posting a bunch of information on authoritative sources like Wikipedia, which are ranked high by Google. And that way, when a normie tries to do a search, they get immediately pushed to a Wikipedia site that has so much information that they just pretty much get that idea that, yeah, this is totally normal, this is totally legitimate, and then they sort of go back to sleep. And so that's why I think this operation get the narrative out there so that people that are online doing searches, pretty much see it and go back to sleep and don't suspect that something is weird.
I mean, if you had to voice a suspicion, you got any ideas on what you think a motive might be? If you're saying it's a deliberate attempt on something, you think it's about someone on the plane?
Yeah, I think it's someone on the plane. It's always somebody on the list. I knew somebody that died in a weird boating fire outside of Catalina, right? Like it was a boating fire. They're surrounded by water, and then the media, of course, picked it up. It was a very big story for a couple days, and then I noticed that on the roster there was a VIP and his entire family that got wiped out, some political guy. So it looks like, I'm going to guess from previous patterns that if you look at the manifest of this flight list, you're going to see some sort of senator or a billionaire on there or some sort of political player. If it's, foreign national that died on there, then this could be a tit for tat against that country. So
there were two Russian figure skaters on board, and there's been some kind of whispers about who exactly they belong to, if anyone. But there's no real confirmation yet, and like you said, they're probably going to stagger out any sort of real release of actionable intel on whoever was important, whatever VIP might have been involved. And then there's the question of how the Black Hawk even did this in the first place, because there were supposedly 3 people on board, although the divers apparently didn't find any bodies, and the Black Hawk can be remote controlled if needs be. So and apparently it flew out of Langley or near Langley, like the flight path leads back to Langley. So there's red flags written all over this. and I
And who's the guy that died on that other plane? Do we even know? Like, it seems like
n-
we're all hearing about these passengers and these
right.
victims, but we don't even know who the driver was.
No, we don't. There's been very little
Yeah.
information on the actual people in control of these platforms when they were in the air, and yeah, it's a strange situation, man. What a weird year. We haven't even got out of January yet,